What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Country Investor. My name is Robert, if this is your first time tuning in today. So you may be wondering, what are we doing out here in the outdoor scenery? Most financial videos usually take place in like a house or something like that. Well, this is another investment property, and as you know from the title, from the name, The Country Investor, this is my ranch. So this is another investment property that I run a business off of. So I thought it'd be cool to shoot a financial video in a different scenery compared to every other video out there. So it's a different perspective and a different way of looking at things, and basically give anybody and everybody an opportunity to invest in real estate. If I can do it, I grew up poor as crap, really, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I'm not where I want to be yet, but I will be there pretty damn soon, I hope. And I'm definitely working towards it, and I don't just rely on hope. I definitely do rely on action and smart financial decisions. So without further ado, guys, I hope y'all enjoy this video, and don't forget to give this video a like, and don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Alright, guys, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how to break down a rental property, and basically how to see if it's going to be a good deal for you when you're investing mainly for cash flow. This is going to be a video mainly for cash flow. If you're close to retirement, or you're just looking to quit that 9-to-5 job, what you want to look for is cash flow. But when you invest in real estate, you're also getting, you're also increasing your net worth. But we're going to be specifically looking for cash flow. I'm going to show you how I break down my deals. I'll zoom the camera in just on the whiteboard, just so you can see the actual numbers. You don't need to see me, you can just see the numbers. This is an actual property I did buy, and I'll kind of go over everything and explain it as we're going down the whiteboard. And this is what I had my preliminary mathematics on the house, my preliminary numbers, and I'm going to write down the actual numbers here side by side so you can see more or less what it ended up being. First thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the purchase price. And so when I'm doing a quick rundown of basically, when I'm looking online for houses, I'm looking specifically for at least meeting the 1% rule. If it doesn't even meet that, I don't even look at it. Every area is different. Sometimes it can get away with not using the 1% rule, but in my area it does apply, so that's the reason I do use it. If anybody doesn't know what the 1% rule, I can explain it in another video. So we're going to look at the purchase price. And this marker doesn't want to work. The purchase price on this house was $95,000, $95K. Next, we're going to look at the rate. So I did finance this house, and the rate was 3.8%. The next one, we looked at the down payment. I think on this one, I ended up getting some lender credits and some other credits as well. So I ended up going, I think, 4.4 just to be safe. 4.4 down, 4.4 thousand down. The P&I stayed about the same, which is your P&I is your principal and interest. It ended up going down some. I think it was like 422, 423, 428 or something like that. We'll call it 425 just to be safe. And the escrow, so I did escrow everything. If you give less than 20% down, you're going to be usually required to put escrow, to escrow your taxes and your insurance. If you do over 20%, you won't be, required to do the escrow. But my escrow is 166. Escrow. $166. And so I have here 10% maintenance. So 10% maintenance is basically for your 10% maintenance is basically for repairs, anything that's going to come up, toilets breaking down, little small things, doorknobs falling off. Just little things that come up. That's what your 10% is going to be. And we'll do that one here in a little bit. Your 5%, I'm going to go 5 to 8%. And this, your 5%, what I have here is for your manager. If you have a property manager or a property management company, it's usually going to be about 7 to 10% for a property manager. Or you can do the 8% for, what was I going to do? Your 8% for vacancy. So the house is not always going to be rented out. Eventually the tenant is going to move out. So you do have to account for that as well. And since I was going to manage this property with a property manager, but I ended up managing it myself. So I don't have a property manager fee, but I do have to account for the, whatchamacallit? I do have to account for the vacancy. So this is for vacancy. And the rent. So the rent is at $1,400 a month, which we ended up having some issues with this house, so it ended up taking months to close on this property. And over that time, this was during the coronavirus pandemic, and rents ended up going up. Then the pandemic hit, which ended up increasing rents even more in my specific area. So I ended up making out pretty much better than I thought on this deal. So there's that. And then I have the without cash flow. I mean, without the 5 and 10%, and then I have with 10%. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Without. And then with. Quick side note for anybody who was wondering, the mortgage insurance, the $45, excuse me, that is included in the escrow, but I broke it down into property taxes and mortgage insurance, but it's all considered escrow for anybody who was wondering. All right, guys, so I ended up forgetting the mortgage insurance, which I had on this side originally, which is $45. I went ahead and filled in the blanks on everything else. Your 10% maintenance is going to be $140 a month because it's $1,400 a month in rent. Your vacancy is going to be anywhere between 5 and 8%. Also, this is where you include your property manager, my bad. Which for me, vacancy, I put it at 8% just to play it safe. I'm in a pretty high demand area, so I'm being a little cautious on this side, but I put 8%, which is $112 a month. And so that brings me out to a total of rent of $1,400, and that's without the 10% maintenance and the vacancy. I'm left with $764 a month, and I'll explain why I do that in a little bit. And with my cash flow, that's including the 8% and the 10% for maintenance and for vacancy. My actual cash flow on this property is $512 a month. And I'll explain why I put the without 8 and 10%. So, with every rental property, you want to keep an account that has money in there to cover large expenses. So I usually keep the money in that account already before I even start collecting rent. I already have an account set up with a certain amount of money in that account. I can go over those types of financials with you in another video. But I already have that account maxed out to what I feel comfortable with for this property. So that's the reason I do the without 8 to 10%, because I don't put that 8 to 10% I'm collecting in rent in that account. What I do with that money is I invest it in usually a stock market or other avenues. I either invest it back into my other business, I invest it in the stock market, or I invest that into another property because I already have what I need in that account for this property. So this is just extra for me. So that's why I do the without 8 to 10%. So every month I'm left with about $764 a month on this property. But I know that's usually not going to be the case for everybody. So I did include the total cash flow on this property is $512, which is great. And that's covering all my expenses, including the 10% maintenance. That's including my vacancy. And in my area, people stay in these rental properties for a very, very long time. And you'll find if you buy single family homes, they tend to stay a lot longer than they do in apartments or any other, even sometimes duplexes. They usually stay longer in single family homes. Your apartments will probably have your highest vacancy rate. But yeah, guys, I just want to go over that with you guys. I know this is a pretty high cash flow. This was a ballpark deal for me. I have certain criteria when I'm looking for properties, when looking at the descriptions as well. But I can go over all that stuff in another video for you guys. I appreciate y'all watching. If y'all want to see more videos like this, definitely let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I appreciate y'all watching. And like always, guys, be careful, be good, take care, and God bless.